Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Jay and this is Vroom Vroom. Today is a video that I really didn't want to make. I thought the Honda ST 1300 Pan-European was complete, but no, fate had other ideas. Since I've had the bike, I've noticed that it's been a little bit tight on the brakes, getting it around, and after the fork seal went and I changed the front brakes, they were binding. I managed to push the calipers all the way in and the back brakes started blinding, and the two outer pistons on the caliper were seesawing when you was trying to push them in, and the only way to release the pressure was to undo the bleed nipple, which isn't an ideal solution. So for the last couple of weeks, last week, I've been riding around just using the front brake, because the back brake, when you use it, almost is a full brake application and just results in some severe binding. So what's the solution? Well, been on the forums, seen a lot of suggestions and a lot of really good ideas, and I've bled the brakes. I've put new brake fluid in. That's not helped, and to be honest, I didn't really think it would do. So it's time to move on to more extreme measures. So with this, I narrowed it down to three things, and they were the master cylinder for the rear, the secondary master cylinder and the front wheel, or this proportioning valve. And looking at the symptoms that I had, I thought that this was probably the best bet. So I've purchased one off of eBay. It was brand new. It's a OEM part, and it's not, it's a genuine part, and it was the pricely sum of £50. So today I'm going to change this, see if it solves the brake problems. If it doesn't, then we'll spend some more money and get a little bit more involved. But the braking systems on these ST1300s and anything that's got the technology where you press one brake and another brake comes on has its issues. While it's brilliant, and especially with a heavy bike, it's really useful, when it does go wrong, it can create problems, and to the point I've seen on some of the forums that some of the bikes involved have replaced almost everything and they've still got the same problem and had to isolate the whole circuit. So I don't want to be doing that. I'd like it to be as stock as possible. So let's crack on and fit this. This was up for sale, but noticed an issue, and to be fair, I think it has actually probably been an issue since day one, because I always noticed that moving it around was a little bit difficult. Good example of this is I've just not ridden the bike for about a week now, and I've just come to turn it around to just get better access and stick it on the side, on the center stand, and the yeah, I can't move it, so I'm going to take the rear panniers off, release some fluid, and hopefully then I can get it into a better position. So I released the pressure from the black caliper, and as soon as I took it off, it had fluid coming out quite freely. It's released the back brake and meant I can move the bike. So I'm going to take off the fairing on this side to gain access to the valve. Not going to record that. Something that you've seen a million times, and if you haven't, there's plenty of videos on YouTube that can guide you. It's just screws and an Allen key basically, and it's just make sure you put the right bolts back in the right places afterwards, because some of them are different lengths. So I'll be back in a sec. And this is literally 5 minutes later. Panel is off, and the part we're changing today just sits there. Quite an easy part, just 2 10mm into the frame, 2 8mm for the lines going in and out, and we'll check from there. little bit dusty, but nothing major. As I mentioned before, this bike's only done just over 30,000 miles, so you wouldn't expect too many issues. And I know these can be rebuilt, and there is a small hole at the bottom for pressure, so I'm going to check that when I get it out. But be interesting to see, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put pressure on the back brake just to lock it up. I won't keep my foot on it, I don't need to, but once the pressure's in there, I'm going to release these lines and just see if that releases the pressure to the back wheel. At least it'll give me some idea while I'm changing it if I'm doing the right thing. So we'll see what happens. Right, so if I just, that's it. So I've pressed on the back brake, and as you can see now, that's just not moving at all. So I'll just grab a spanner. Right, so let's see what we get. Oh! Right, so as expected, we're getting fluid out of it. The bottom one isn't easy, so I'm going to just find a better position to take that one off of. Bottom one was a bit tight getting the spanner on, but it's just, come on, oh, there she goes. Right, so I'm just going to drop those two pipes off and take off the two retaining bolts, and then I'll come back to you. Right, so I've got the two retainers out, and just going to carry on taking out these brake lines. The back wheel is now free, but I mean, you would expect that anyway, because this is one link in the whole of the pressure line for the bike. So we'll just going to whip that off, because it's quite a difficult thing to do one-handed. So right, I'm going to prepare the other one by just taking the stoppers out of the valve. I know it's not going to make that much difference, but I just don't want a chance for any more muck or grit to be getting into it while I've got it out, and I just, for my own peace of mind, I just want to get it done as quickly as possible, get these lines at least started in the new one. Right, top one's done, and that's that one. So there's the old valve. We'll have a look at that in more detail in a moment. One thing to remember here is just to be very careful not to cross-thread these when you're putting them back in. And if you're in any doubt, just take it out again and start again. And we've just hit our first problem. This is the new valve, and I did notice putting the line on the top one, it was quite tight going in, and I was just saying about making sure your lines are square, and it goes into the bottom one absolutely fine, because I've got a spare going into the top one, binds after about one turn. So I know the lines are right. I'm going to force this in here and see if it digs out the thread, but yeah, that's really poor. So let's just see if I can get it to bite, and of course it's a different size. Don't expect this from a genuine part. And the more that's going in, the tighter it's just getting. That's just poor. And I can just see it's damaging the thread on the and so I'm stuck. The thread is just no good. It's terrible. So for a genuine part, you just don't expect that. I'm going to contact the people who sent it to me and ask them to replace it, because I just don't want to tap out a new one, because it's, why should I? And it might not be as good as it was. So I'm going to get in contact with them now. And even though this video will continue from in a second, it's just wrecked my day. Right, so I was going to put the old one back on just to keep the lines clean, and I thought I would take it apart, and you can see the bottom is quite grimy, and I did take it off, and it was pretty caked up in there. So I'm going to give it a clean, put it back on. I might test it, because quite interested now on how this will turn out. So let me get my tripod and we'll set this up. So I did mess about for about 10 minutes just trying to get this clip out, and it just will not have it. So I'm gonna leave it. I mean, I'm gonna get a new part anyway, so this was just for just to have a look anyway. But what I am sure of now is that everything is moving a lot more freely than it was, and I don't know if that is down to dirt or whether it's just a trick of the light, but we'll put it back on, and I'm going to bleed the brakes up and just see what happens, if only for the fact that I actually do need the bike for the next couple of days, and I can't really afford to be without it, but we'll see. Right, so continuing the issue with the brakes on the Honda. The valve that you saw in the last video had issues with the thread, as you saw. I sent it back. I did ask for another one, but instead of that they just issued me a refund. So I was going to buy another one, but then reading on other forums, they were suggesting that the secondary master fed cylinder was more likely the culprit. And I seem to remember when I was doing the fork seals, I pushed back the piston because it was very stiff, and I thought I heard a pop, and that could have been something in the secondary master cylinder giving up. So I have a new secondary master cylinder, which I'm going to fit in a moment, and also a little bit upgrade to the videos, because now I noticed in some of the other videos I was getting a lot of wind noise, so I've upgraded to a couple of mics, so hopefully the sound quality will be very good. So what I'm going to do is remove this and this, take it off, then the hydraulic brake lines are behind, banjo bolts. So it's quite a simple job and should only take me about 10 minutes. He says confidently. We'll see. So that come off very, very easy, just as I suspected. That's the new one. The old one, just taken the rubber grommet, which was in there, to go in there, and then that should be it, ready to go on. So far, simple. So this is a couple of days later. As you can see by the picture, the last secondary master cylinder, or left hand side bracket, or SMC, whatever you want to call it, did not fit, despite it being listed as a 2008 model. So this has been, well, politely, a pain. It started off with a proportioning valve, which I bought new, and the threads were knackered in one bit of it, so that had to go back. While I was sending that back, I was reading a little bit more in the forums about what causes the brake dragging problems, and it said that the secondary master cylinder was more likely the problem. And of course I did hear the pop when I was pushing the pistons back, so ordered that, and of course that's now the wrong one. So tried on a tradition, third time lucky. I couldn't find one that was brand new. I've had to go for a second-hand one, but as you can see there, the pin for the brake caliper is a lot closer to the body of the bracket, so it should fit. So let's whip it off and have a look. So we're ready to go, take it off. I won't bore you with taking it off because you've seen me take this on and off so many times. So the good news is that it actually fits, and I've just done the banjo bolts back up. I've just got to stick the Allen bolts back in here, and then we'll see if this is the issue. Even though I've got a brake bleeder coming, which should be here in around an hour. That will help get the air out of the system, but we'll see how it goes. So I'll just chuck these two in now and then report back. Well, it does actually look like I may have had a little bit of luck at last with this, and it was the secondary master cylinder. Everything I've tried up to now has resulted in the so as I tread on the back brake, the back wheel locking up, and I've put that on and I've given it a bit of bleeding, and it's still got a lot of air in it, so there's a lot to do. But the back wheel is moving, so it's a fingers crossed situation at the moment. I'm still waiting on the easy bleed kit, and I will try and get a bit of a back brake with what I've got, but and it's not easy bleeding the back brake on one of these on your own, which if you've tried, you know what I'm talking about. So this is where we are bleeding. There is a set way of doing it, starting with the one furthest away from the master cylinder, blah blah blah. It's all online, it's easy to find. So I'm going to give it a couple of minutes. I'm going to go around, I'm going to bleed the back a little bit, but I must admit this is the most optimistic I've felt in weeks. And then after this I've got to take all of that panel off, because I was while it was being a bit of a pain with the brakes, using the engine a lot more to slow down, and I started losing the clutch when the engine was getting hot, so that's suggesting there's some air in the system there as well. I'm hoping it's not a slow cylinder, because from what I've read on these, it is a pig to do. I know Honda won't take the engine out, but let's hope it doesn't come to that. So on with the bleeding, and fingers crossed. So that's where I'm going to leave it for now, with the ST. Hopefully in the next video we'll get a conclusion and finish off and sort out those dragging brakes. So until next time, please like, share, subscribe. You know what to do. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you soon. Take care.